Revealed, the incredible truth: Billionaire discovers his wife is alive after 10 years, thanks to a mysterious tip. Jack Turner stared at the rain-soaked view from his office. The cityscape glittered with ambition and power, but it felt small against the ghostly shadows of his past. Emily's absence was a heavy blanket on his heart, pulling him into a darkness he couldn't shake, no matter how high he climbed in the business world. She had vanished 10 years ago during a charity event, a memory etched into his mind, replaying relentlessly. How could someone so filled with life simply vanish? Jack had poured every ounce of his pain into building a tech empire, spiraling into a life defined by wealth and success, but it all felt hollow without her. Just then, an anonymous email dropped into his inbox. A slight tremor ran through him as he read. "There's a woman at the veterans' home nearby. She looks so much like your wife." Hope flickered briefly, but he shushed it. The possibility seemed ludicrous. Yet, a thrill of determination rushed through his veins. He couldn't ignore it. He needed to know. He drove across town, determination fighting against the pounding rain. The veteran's home was modest, a crumbling reminder of the forgotten. He stepped inside, the air heavy with scents of old coffee and hard-won stories. His heart raced as he met Laura, a woman whose resemblance to Emily was uncanny yet utterly different. In her weary eyes, he saw stories of survival, strength wrapped in sadness. But as he listened, he learned of her struggles, a life peppered with suffering from domestic abuse, bleak and isolating. She was not Emily, yet her presence stirred something deep within him. Jack felt the stirring of empathy, the warmth of a small-town community wrapping around him like a familiar hug. It awakened values he'd ignored in his pursuit of success. He realized he had so much to give, not just in wealth, but in love and support. Laura's story was a voice for change, and as he became entwined in her fight for justice, he confronted the systemic injustices he'd overlooked. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With every meeting, Jack unraveled layers of Laura's life. She was brave, but trapped. A flicker of hope danced in his chest. However, as Jack considered sharing her story, an internal battle raged. What if revealing her suffering could destroy the polished image he'd built? Then, just as he prepared to bask in the light of change, he stumbled across a connection between Laura and Emily, a thread that tugged at his life as fabric. How could one woman's truth intertwine so closely with his own? Facing the choice of loyalty to an ally or the echoes of a beloved past left him teetering on a precarious edge. But even shadows cast by wealth can't eclipse the need for belonging. Moments blurred. Would he risk everything he'd rebuilt? With each ounce of hope he found in Laura's battle, a haunting realization gripped him. The truth surrounding Emily whispered against the silence of his heart. Was she truly taken, or had she chosen to leave? A tremor of fear spiraled through him, leaving Jack wondering if his quest for redemption could also unravel the threads of his cherished memories. Unsettling truths lurked just beyond the horizon, ready to change everything he thought he knew. What revelations awaited him, and would they lead him to courage or chaos? To a mysterious connection. Jack returned home that evening, the shadows of doubt drifting in his mind like the dense clouds lingering in the sky. He sat at the edge of his bed, devoid of comfort. His heart ached with conflict. What did he truly know about Emily's disappearance? 10 years spent buried in work, avoiding the cracks in his heart. Now, the unearthing of Laura had unearthed buried feelings he thought long dead. The thought of Emily led him into a labyrinth of memories, her laughter ringing through their sunlit kitchen, the way her hand fit perfectly in his. It was this image that fueled his quest. But the revelation of Laura stirred another kind of chaos. Determined to investigate further, Jack dropped into a restless fit of sleep, filled with dreams of familiar faces and fragmented truths. When morning broke, he felt a newfound sense of urgency. In his gut, he sensed that every moment wasted was a moment with Emily slipping further away. He needed to piece together the stories from Laura's life and see how they wove into his own narrative. The rain took a breather, allowing sunlight to cut through the clouds as he arrived at the veteran's home. This time, he wasn't just the billionaire. He was a man searching for answers amidst pain and hope. He walked down the hallways, each step echoing with a sense of purpose. Laura greeted him warmly, her eyes showing both relief and worry. "Jack, are you okay?" she asked, her brow furrowing. "Yeah, I just need to know more about your situation," he replied, determination painting his voice with strength as they sat across from each other. Jack brought forth the connection. He had stumbled upon a hazardous thread linking Laura's troubling past to Emily. The moment he uttered Emily's name, he could sense the shift in Laura. Her expression transformed. Fear seeped into her features. "Emily?" she echoed softly, almost like a prayer. "Do you know her?" Laura hesitated, the silence between them heavy with unspoken truths. Finally, she nodded, her voice trembling. "I don't know her personally, but I heard things. There were whispers. Things about a woman who never got the help she needed." Jack felt as if the ground dropped beneath him. Whispers? Help? His mind raced. What had Laura heard? What kind of things? He pressed, his heart pounding faster. "I can't say for sure," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, "but she may have been running from someone. And I think she had help. Someone she knew." Doubts ripped through him again. If Emily had help, what did that say about her disappearance? Did she really choose to leave? Or was someone else pulling the strings? With each question, Jack's world tilted more precariously. He thought he was on the hunt for his lost love, but now it seemed like he could be unraveling a web much more complex than he ever anticipated. There were shadows in Emily's story that he had yet to face, and it made the room feel heavy with impending revelations. "Do you think she is alive?" Jack's voice cracked as he asked the question that loomed over them. Laura's eyes met his, wide and vulnerable. "I don't know, Jack, but we may have to dig deeper to find out. If there is a connection, we need to explore it." Determination surged through him again, melding with panic. Jack needed answers, and he sensed they were just within reach. Who was protecting Emily? And would the truth enrich his understanding, or tear the very fabric of his heart further apart? As they sat in silence, the weight of the world seemed to fall on both their shoulders, the threads of their lives weaving together in unexpected ways. He knew he had to confront not just Laura's burdens, but his own. Would confronting the shadows of Emily's past finally lead him to the woman he loved, or deepen the mystery that haunted them both? As Jack steeled himself for the next steps, a sudden surge of clarity came over him. There was one person he needed to speak to, the anonymous tipster whose email had sparked this journey. What if the answers to his questions lay in their hands? With purpose reignited, he resolved to uncover who reached out to him. After all, sometimes the truth waits just beyond your reach, ready to pull you into a world you never imagined. But would he be ready for what he uncovered next? Jack's palms were slick with sweat as he left the veteran's home, Laura's anxious gaze still haunting his thoughts. The world outside felt muted, the usual bustle of the city dampened beneath the weight of his newly ignited mission. He hurriedly pulled out his phone, his heart racing. There was no time to waste. He had to contact the anonymous tipster who had sent him that email. He found a quiet cafe, a place he often visited during better days when the aroma of fresh coffee mingled with laughter. Now it smelled like desperation. He sat down at a small table in the corner and opened his laptop, fingers trembling as he entered the email address. Just as he was about to hit send, he paused. What if this person turned out to be someone else tangled in the mess? What if they held the kind of truth that could shatter him further? Jack's breath caught in his throat. He had spent too long in the shadows of grief to let fear tether him now. Gritting his teeth, he typed out a message that balanced his need for answers with a hint of vulnerability. He was searching for Emily, he explained, and was willing to listen to whatever they had to share. He hit send and leaned back, feeling the weight of 1,000 expectations resting on his shoulders. Minutes stretched like hours, and just as doubt began creeping back in, his phone buzzed. The response came in quick, clipped sentences. The tipster identified themselves only as M, claimed to have information about Emily's disappearance, but warned him to tread carefully. There are people who don't want you to know. They might be watching. Jack's heart pounded harder. Was this a joke? A cruel game meant to draw him deeper into a pit of despair? But there was something about the urgency in the words that clawed at his attention that he typed back, asking where they wanted to meet. The response was swift. A park near the edge of town, a place he used to wander with Emily. It felt fitting and eerie, kind of poetic justice. There, amidst the towering trees and whispering winds, he might uncover the truth that as Jack drove. His mind raced with possibilities, shifts of hope and dread swirling within him. What if he finally found out what happened? What if the person waiting in the park had answers that would crash against him like waves? Arriving at the chosen spot, his nerves were electric. The park was quieter than he remembered, serenity hanging thick in the air. He spotted a figure beneath a sprawling oak tree, a middle-aged man with thinning hair and an expression that spoke of burdens untold. "Jack," the man said, his voice gravelly. "Yeah, and you must be him," Jack replied, forcing calmness into his tone, though his heart drummed wildly. The man nodded, glancing around as if ensuring they were alone. "I have something crucial to share, something you don't have the full picture of." Jack's stomach twisted. "Is it about Emily?" "More than that," M stated, leaning in, his voice lowering. "But first, you need to understand the danger surrounding her. It was no accident that she disappeared." Every word dripped with ominous weight as uncertainty settled in Jack's gut. He held his breath, waiting for the floodgates to open, ready to confront whatever reality awaited him at the other end. As M spoke, Jack realized he was on the brink of understanding the truth behind the shadows that had haunted him for a decade. But he couldn't shake the feeling that with each revelation, he might lose a piece of himself. "What do you mean, danger?" Jack asked, voice tight. M's eyes met his, filled with a hurt that mirrored Jack's own. "If we're going to uncover what really happened, you must be prepared. There are forces at play that we can't ignore, and they won't hesitate to protect their secrets." As the man's words settled into the air like a lingering fog, Jack felt a chill run down his spine. He was in deeper than he had ever imagined, and yet, the thought of turning back had long abandoned him. Would he have the strength to brave the storm ahead, or would the shadows consume him before the light could break through? The answer waited to unveil itself, and it loomed closer with every revelation. Jack's heart raced as he took a step closer to M, desperate to catch every detail. The man's hesitant gaze flickered to the ground, weighed down by something heavier than just words. "Emily was involved in something way bigger than the both of us," M continued, his voice low enough to blend with the soft rustle of leaves overhead. "She stumbled onto something dangerous. People got hurt. She had to disappear to protect herself and you." "What do you mean disappear? How could she just vanish?" Jack's breath came in jagged gasps, each word a battle fought against the rising tide of panic. M leaned in, urgency coloring his features. To them, she was a threat. After she made that discovery, they put her on their radar. It was faster to fake her death than risk letting her live. You need to understand that. They'll do anything to keep her under their control. The ground beneath Jack felt unsteady, like the world had tilted just a fraction. "You're saying she's alive?" Hope flickered like a flame against the darkness that surrounded him. "Yes, Jack. But it's not simple. She's in hiding. If you dig too deep, you might make enemies. Enemies that still operate within the shadows," M insisted. Jack's fists clenched at his sides, trapped between wanting to save Emily and fearing for her safety. What happened to her? What did she discover? M hesitated, a shadow passing over his face. "You have to understand that this isn't just about her. There are people involved, powerful people. There are secrets they would kill to keep buried. Emily found out, and now everything is different." The words hung in the air like thunderclouds, rumbling ominously. Jack felt his whole being clawing for answers, but the potential cost weighed heavily on him. He thought of Laura, her anxious eyes now vividly imprinted on his mind. His heart felt splintered. The thought of knowing Emily, perhaps getting a chance to save her, was intoxicating. But he knew he could also be dragging Laura into a storm that threatened to engulf everything they held dear. "We need to find her. If she's out there, I have to do something," Jack said, the urgency swelling within him. "How do we start?" M's expression softened slightly. "You'll need a guide, someone on the inside who knows the dangers. I have a contact, someone who can help. But trust doesn't come easily in this world. You have to decide how far you're willing to go." Jack felt sweat gather at his brow. Trust was fragile, so easily broken. But a tension built in his chest, urging him forward. Even if it meant facing the full force of the storm, he couldn't walk away now. "I'll do whatever it takes," Jack said, his voice steady as steel, though inside his heart raced. He was teetering on the edge of the unknown, prepared to leap, and nodded, a mix of relief and worry crossing his face. "Then we have to act quickly. Time isn't on your side. I'll send you the details of my contact. Meet them alone, stay cautious." As Jack turned to leave, a familiar hum of fear rippled through him. Questions swirled. Would this first step lead to the answers he sought, or would it plunge him deeper into a web of chaos? He tightened his jaw, the weight of the unknown heavy on his shoulders. Outside the park, darkness loomed. What awaited him beyond those gates could change everything, for better or worse. Could he navigate the path ahead and find Emily, or would the truth, once uncovered, be more than he could handle? The next move was all his, and every instinct screamed to charge ahead. But caution remained, whispering warnings that crept through his thoughts as he stepped into the eerie twilight. Jack hesitated, then took a deep breath. Was he ready for the depths of darkness that lay ahead? The next chapter of this quest loomed, and with it, the promise of either hope or peril. Jack stepped through the park gates, the chill of the evening air biting at his skin. The streetlights flickered to life, casting long shadows that danced around him. He barely noticed the sounds of the city, a distant horn, laughter ringing out from a nearby cafe. All he could focus on was the urgency pulsing through him, propelling him forward. He pulled out his phone, fingers trembling slightly as he searched for M's message. It buzzed alive with an address and a name, Sarah. He took a moment, staring at the screen as doubt threatened to creep in. Who was this Sarah? Could he trust her? His mind unsettled him, bringing up visions of dangers lurking in the dark, of secrets that didn't he wish to be uncovered. But at the thought of Emily, warmth ignited in his chest. She was alive. After all those years of grief and unanswered questions, hope clawed insistently at him, refusing to be pushed back. He had to try. The trek to the meeting place felt impossibly long. Jack's heart drummed in his ears, matching the rhythm of his hurried steps. Could Sarah truly help him navigate the perilous waters he was about to dive into? Finally, he reached the designated location, a nondescript diner tucked between larger buildings. Neon lights buzzed above the entrance, promising food and company, yet inside felt like a different world. Jack pushed through the glass door, where a bell jingled softly, and his eyes scanned the room. That it was almost empty, save for an older couple at the counter and a lone waitress wiping down tables. Jack's eyes zeroed in on a booth in the back. A woman maybe in her 30s, dark hair framing her focused expression, sat hunched over a laptop, typing furiously. He approached, fighting the sense of unease tightening in his stomach. "Sarah?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. She looked up, her gaze sharp and assessing. "You're Jack." It wasn't a question. "Yeah, Em sent me. Take a seat." She gestured, closing her laptop with a decisive snap. "We don't have much time." Jack slid into the booth, suddenly keenly aware of how every moment mattered. "What do you know about Emily?" Sarah leaned in closer, her voice low. "More than just rumors. Emily dug into something massive, a scandal that traces back to powerful people, and they won't hesitate to do whatever they need to protect their interests." Instincts kicked in as Jack sensed her sincerity. "Where is she?" The urgency in his voice was hard to contain. "Before that," Sarah said, looking over her shoulder as if the walls had ears. "You need to be careful. Anyone who knows what she found is a target, including you." Jack's heart dropped. "I can't just sit here and do nothing." If she's alive, the weight of his words rang true. She's alive, but it won't be easy to reach her. Sarah hesitated, her own uncertainty seeping through. "I have a lead, but it's risky. We'll need to move fast, and you have to trust me." Trust. The very thing that felt so fragile now seemed necessary for survival. Jack swallowed hard, weighing his options. He wanted to blindly leap into the shadows, but he needed to be smart. "I'm in," he said, determination rising like a tide within him. "What's the first step?" A faint smile flickered across Sarah's lips, as if she'd been waiting for his answer. "We'll need to arrange a meeting with someone who has connections. But understand, Jack, once you step into this world, there's no turning back." Jack stared at her, the reality sinking in. Was he truly ready for this? For the secrets and dangers? Would he still have a life left once he found Emily? Let us do it, he said, conviction in his voice. I'll find her. Then let us move, Sarah replied, already pulling up her contacts on the laptop. Jack felt a flutter of uncertainty. As they plotted their next move, he couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing, one that would test him in unimaginable ways. What awaited them on this treacherous path? Would the truth about Emily bring him peace, or open the door to chaos he couldn't hope to contain? Jack took a deep breath, the air tinged with the scent of coffee and faded vinyl. He watched as Sarah punched in a series of numbers, her fingers flying over the keys, a picture of focus. The diner hummed quietly around them, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions that twisted inside him. Each passing second seemed to amplify the tension, his pulse racing in sync with the flashing cursor on her screen. Okay, Sarah said, breaking the silence as she looked up. We got a meeting. It's in an hour. She hesitated, searching his eyes. You ready for this? Ready as I'll ever be, Jack replied, though doubt flickered in his mind. What kind of world had he just stepped into? The thought of Emily being so close, yet so far, made it hard to think straight. Who are we meeting? His name is Eric. He is a fixer, someone who knows how to move in these circles. He is trustworthy enough, but you should keep your guard up. Trustworthy in what way? Jack pressed, anxiety creeping back. Let us just say the stakes are high. He operates in gray areas, but he'll help connect you to people who can locate Emily. Jack rubbed his temples, trying to push back the wave of uncertainty. This wasn't just about finding her anymore. It was becoming a web of risky decisions. What if this all goes sideways? What if she is in danger? She is in danger, Jack. That's why you need to stay sharp. Sarah's voice softened. But if she is alive, we can bring her back. It's worth the risk. He nodded, steeling himself. All that mattered was getting to Emily. The ache of longing welled up, the memories of her laughter, her warmth, flooding his mind. He missed her more than he could articulate. Sarah rose from the booth, her laptop tucked under her arm. We need to head to the alley behind the diner. It's safer to talk there than inside. Jack followed, heart thudding in his chest. They slipped out the back door into the darkened alley, the air cold against his skin. Sarah's eyes darted around, her instincts on high alert. Jack mirrored her caution, scanning the street with trepidation. In this moment, he couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked just out of sight. Why all the secrecy? Jack asked, voice low. No one can know about this meeting. Eric has enemies, powerful ones. If they find out anyone is looking for Emily, she let the sentence trail off, and Jack's stomach sank. Silence enveloped them, heavy with unspoken fears. Jack's mind raced as he wrestled with the potential fallout. But for now, it was no use dwelling on what-ifs. They had to focus on moving forward. Here, Sarah said, tapping a button on her phone. He is here. A sleek black car slid around the corner, coming to a halt beside them. The tinted windows faced him like a wall, hiding who or what lay within. You ready? Yeah, Jack breathed out, feeling the weight of the moment. As Jack climbed into the back seat, his heart raced with urgency. Uncertainty cloaked him, yet a flicker of hope held him steady. Sarah slid in next to him, their shared determination palpable as they faced whatever was waiting ahead. Just remember, Jack, Sarah said, her voice fierce. Once we start this, there's no escaping it. We're in it together. Jack met her gaze, and something ignited inside of him. Together, he echoed, feeling that sense of unity strengthen his resolve. As the car sped off into the night, Jack clenched his fists. Would this path lead him to Emily or deeper into danger? Moments passed, and the questions multiplied, each more pressing than the last. What lay ahead that he couldn't see? And when the truth finally unveiled itself, would it bring him his beloved wife or destroy everything he thought he knew? The interior of the sleek black car was dim, the soft hum of the engine a reminder that they were moving forward, yet Jack felt as if they were suspended in time. He glanced at Sarah, her expression a mix of determination and apprehension. Minutes passed in silence as they navigated through the streets. Jack's mind raced. Would Eric have the answers? Would he be the key to finding Emily? The uncertainty gnawed at him. Every twist and turn of the road felt like a countdown to a revelation, one that could shatter him or set everything right again. Sarah broke the silence first. Just stay calm. Eric is used to this. He is not like the others in this messy world, but you should be prepared for anything. Anything? Jack echoed, the word heavy with dread. Yeah, like unexpected questions, or maybe even games he plays. It's all about negotiation and leverage to him. Just don't say anything that can be used against us. No pressure, right? He muttered under his breath, feeling the weight of her words settle like a stone in his stomach. As they pulled up to a discreet, unmarked building on the edge of town, the air changed. The car came to a stop, and Jack's grip tightened around the door handle. It was time. Here goes nothing, he said, trying to muster courage. In a matter of moments, they would be face to face with the man who could either help him find Emily or entangle him deeper in danger. They stepped out of the car, and a chill swept through the air. The street was dimly lit, a stark contrast to the warmth of the diner they had left behind. Jack shivered, but it wasn't tea from the cold. It was anticipation mixed with fear. Sarah led the way, confidently entering the building through a side door that creaked ominously as it opened. Jack followed close behind, his senses sharpening. Inside, the space was deceptively ordinary, a small waiting area adorned with minimalist furniture and a single potted plant. "Wait here," Sarah instructed, her voice steady. "I'll go get him." As she disappeared into the back room, Jack felt the weight of his decision settle heavily. The minutes stretched into eternity, each second echoing louder in his ears. He leaned against the wall, tapping his foot nervously. Then he saw him, a tall figure emerging from the shadows of the hallway, walking with a purposeful stride. Eric was dressed in a tailored gray suit, his eyes sharp and assessing. He didn't glance at Jack right away. Instead, he turned to Sarah, who was now standing with a confident posture. After a brief exchange of nods, Eric turned his gaze toward Jack, his expression unreadable. "You must be Jack," he said, his voice smooth yet authoritative. "Let us get down to business." The air thickened with tension as Jack forced himself to meet Eric's gaze, an undercurrent of urgency coursing through him. He needed answers. They all needed answers. "About Emily," Jack began, his voice wavering slightly. "I need to know if she is alive." Eric studied him, the silence stretching painfully as Jack's heart drummed loudly against his chest. "Alive?" Eric finally echoed, a faint smirk appearing at the corner of his mouth. "That's an interesting prospect. What makes you think I would have that information?" Jack swallowed hard, determination surging. "Because I'm willing to do whatever it takes to find her. I'll play your games, but I need the truth." Eric leaned back against the wall, arms crossed, his expression shifting as if weighing Jack's resolve. "Okay, Jack, let us find out what you're really made of." As they entered into a tense negotiation, Jack could feel the ground beneath him shifting. The stakes were rising, and with each word exchanged, he sensed the terrifying closeness to a truth that could either bring him joy or crush him entirely. What secrets lay behind Eric's confident demeanor? And would he really bring Jack closer to Emily, or was he already in over his head? Jack's breath came in shallow gasps as Eric's smirk deepened. The tension in the room thickened, wrapping around him like a vice. It wasn't just about Emily anymore. It was about him, his willingness to step into a world where power and secrets reigned. "Are you prepared to bargain?" Eric asked, his eyes glinting with a mix of challenge and intrigue. "Information comes at a price, Jack." "What price?" Jack demanded, urgency tugging at his words. He leaned forward, every muscle tensed, ready for whatever was to come. Sarah stood quietly beside him, a silent pillar of support. Eric regarded him for a moment. "I have a network connections that can lead to scraps of information. But to get to them," he paused, leaving the implication hanging in the air. "You'll need to do something for me first." Jack's heart raced. "What do you want?" "2 nights ago, a shipment was stolen from my facility. My men saw a woman matching Emily's description near the scene. If you want to find her, I need you to retrieve something for me. You do this, and I will help you find her." "Retrieve what?" A mix of hope and disbelief surged within him. "A package that was taken. Secure it, bring it back, and we'll talk about Emily." Jack hesitated. The enigmatic weight of Eric's words draped over him like a dark cloud. What if this was a trap? What if Emily was never part of it, and just a pawn in Eric's game? "Why should I trust you?" Jack asked, skepticism creeping into his voice. "You could be lying. Trust is a complicated thing, isn't it?" Eric replied, tilting his head slightly. "But you are desperate, and desperation often leads to clarity. Your instincts will tell you what you need to do." Jack glanced at Sarah, who nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of the situation. This was all too much, yet hope sprouted in his chest like a tiny flame. If he could find the package, maybe he'd find a lead. Maybe it was even related to Emily's disappearance. Where do I need to go? Jack asked finally, resolve burning bright in his eyes. Eric stepped closer, pulling a scrap of paper from his pocket and handing it over. This will give you the location. Move fast, Jack. Time isn't on your side, he warned, his voice dropping to a whisper that felt both intimidating and urgent. Taking the paper, Jack's pulse thundered in his ears. The weight of the moment hit him. When do we talk after I retrieve it? Find me here at midnight tomorrow. Don't be late, Eric said, his eyes narrowing. Jack nodded, pocketing the scrap. He turned to Sarah, her expression a mixture of concern and determination. They had to act quickly. Let us go, Jack said, adrenaline surging through him. As they stepped out into the night, the shadows loomed larger around them. The plan felt reckless, but time and answers were imperative. What if this led him to Emily? What if this was the moment he'd been waiting for? The chilly night air filled his lungs with a mix of fear and hope. Each step felt significant, a march towards a possible reunion. But as they made their way down the quiet street, an unsettling thought crept into his mind. Eric's game could take them deeper into danger than they'd ever anticipated. So what do you think is in this package? Sarah asked, a hint of worry in her voice. Jack looked straight ahead, determination setting his features. I have no idea, but we have to find out. For Emily's sake. But what if this path led to more than just answers? What if it opened doors to a world he couldn't turn back from? As they approached the car, Jack could feel the implications heavy in the air. He knew they were only scratching the surface of a much darker truth. Are you ready for whatever comes next? Sarah asked, concern glinting in her eyes. Jack paused, a shiver running down his spine. As ready as I'll ever be, but deep down, he couldn't shake the nagging question, what if the truth he found would change everything? Jack slid into the driver's seat, hands gripping the wheel tightly. The engine roared to life, drowning out his racing thoughts. Sarah buckled in beside him, the tension churning between them like a storm. Where do we start? She asked, her voice steady but laced with urgency. I have the address. Jack pulled the scrap of paper from his pocket, the ink smudged with adrenaline-slicked fingers. The location was printed so clearly, yet it felt like a jigsaw puzzle piece from a box of chaos out of place, yet somehow critical. Shall we? She encouraged, her eyes reflecting the streetlights zipping by. With a quick nod, Jack peeled away from the curb. They maneuvered through the night, the city humming around them, unaware of the gravity of their mission. Each red light felt like a countdown to the unknown, where hope was tethered to uncertainty. The destination was a rundown warehouse on the outskirts. As they drove closer, Jack's heart pounded louder, almost drowning out the radio as indistinct noise. He remembered the feeling of Emily's absence like a cloak of shadows wrapped tight around his heart. Do you think it could really be related to her? Sarah asked, glancing at Jack with both skepticism and hope. I don't know. What if it is? The thought throbbed in his mind, both exciting and terrifying. If Emily had been near the scene of a theft, it meant she might still be connected to this dark underworld Eric had hinted at. But it also meant she might be endangered as they arrived at the warehouse. Jack parked under a flickering streetlight. The looming structure looked foreboding, with broken windows and crumbling walls. Jack exhaled sharply, trying to gather any remnants of courage. Let us scope it out first. We have no idea who could be inside, Sarah suggested. Jack nodded and peered out the window. Shadows shifted inside, oblivious to their presence. They crept out of the car, moving low and quiet, hearts aligned in the race against time. Each step felt weighted, yet liberating. They made their way around the backside of the building, where the sound of muffled voices drifted out, clashing with the rhythm of his heart. Jack's anxiety spiked. Was Emily in there? Do you hear that? Sarah whispered, her eyes wide. Yeah, Jack replied, adrenaline sharpening. We need to be careful. Peeking through a cracked window, Jack's breath caught. Inside, a group of men were clustered around a table, focused on something obscured by shadows. The room was drenched in dim light, giving it an eerie quality. Jack straining to see more. A few items lay scattered boxes, tools, and in the middle, a small black case. What if that's the package? Sarah murmured, her voice barely audible. Jack nodded, pulse racing. The implications were massive. If he could secure the package, if it had any clue about Emily, but taking it would require a plan. They couldn't just barge and not when they didn't know the risks involved. Do we go in? Like, right now? Sarah inched closer to the wall, seeking stability. No, Jack's resolve crystallized. We need a distraction, something to create chaos. I'll make a noise on the other side, draw them out. It'll give you a chance to slip in and grab the case. What if something goes wrong? She asked, concern dipping into her voice. It's a risk we have to take, he said, determination replacing fear. For Emily. He could see the vulnerability in her eyes mixing with courage. They had come this far. They were not about to turn back. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their choices pressing down. On 3. Then, he said, holding her gaze, igniting the fire of belief in what they were doing. 1, 2, 3. With that, Jack dashed toward the warehouse's front, ready to make the ruckus he hoped would shatter the silence. But as footsteps echoed behind him, he realized they weren't the only ones ready to make a move. As he turned around, ready to face whatever was coming, fear raced through him. What had he just unleashed? Jack was consumed by a maelstrom of emotions. He barely registered the footsteps echoing from behind him as he threw caution to the wind. His heart pounded like an erratic drumbeat against his ribcage. One reckless decision, and everything was hanging by a fragile thread. But it was too late to turn back now. As he neared the entrance of the warehouse, Jack let out a loud yell, a desperate cry that shattered the stillness of the night. Hey, you there! The sound ricocheted off the cold concrete walls, morphing into an alarm that ripped through the tense atmosphere. The men inside shifted, their attention diverted from whatever they had been plotting. Jack felt the rush of adrenaline as he forced himself to dart around to the rear of the building, knowing that every second counted. Now, Sarah, now? He whispered urgently when he reached a vantage point. He had no idea if she heard him over the clamor of his heart racing. The moments that followed were a blur. He heard the heavy footfalls of men rushing toward the front. His stomach dropped as he imagined Sarah slipping inside, praying that she would remain undetected. Jack's pulse quickened as he peered into the shadows, praying for confirmation that she was safely accessing the package. He risked a quick glance around the corner and saw her silhouetted against the dim light. The sight ignited a fresh wave of hope. She was doing it. But as he shifted his focus back to the front of the warehouse, the unexpected happened a figure emerged. A tall, severe man with a grim expression, likely a guard, with the kind of physical presence that demanded fear. Jack's mind raced, plotting a way out. The guard turned sharply, locking eyes with Jack, who felt like a deer caught in headlights. Hey! The man yelled, charging toward him. Jack turned on his heels, instinctively bolting down the narrow alley, adrenaline flooding his veins. He zigzagged through the dimly lit streets, his breaths coming in ragged gasps, pushing himself to run faster than fear. Just as he thought he was making his escape, a sharp bang echoed behind him, followed by the creak of a door slamming. Jack's heart dropped as he glanced back, catching a glimpse of another figure. There were more of them. They were hunting him, shapes moving with calculated precision, intent on cutting him off, his mind racing. He turned abruptly into another alley, desperately searching for refuge. Just ahead, an old storage unit beckoned a possible hiding place. Jack slipped inside, shrouded in darkness, beads of sweat forming on his forehead as he listened intently for signs of pursuit. Inside, the silence was palpable, echoing his anticipation. The reality of the danger washed over him. He was no longer just a billionaire pursuing answers. He was a man stuck in a web of shadows, fighting for the woman he loved, the woman who might be closer than ever yet remained painfully out of reach. Time passed, seconds dragging like hours. He felt his heartbeat pound in his ears, the darkness coming alive with every breath he took. Suddenly, his phone buzzed in his pocket, an unwelcome interruption. With trembling fingers, he pulled it out and glanced. It was a message from Sarah. I got the case. We need to meet. Relief flooded through him as he quickly typed back. Where? The response was immediate. The park. Jack's heart raced again, not because of the urgency, but because that was the very place where he had first met the mysterious tipster, M. It felt symbolic a crossroads. He took a deep breath, considering the risks and the implications. With the package in hand, everything could change. hastily navigating back to the park felt charged with anticipation. Every rustle in the wind reminded him of the danger they faced, but his determination eclipsed his fear. He had almost lost her once, and now he was ready to fight for their future fiercely. As he approached the familiar trees, a shadow caught his attention. Sarah stood waiting beneath the oak, her expression a mix of worry and triumph. "You made it," she breathed, a flicker of relief flooding her features. She held up the package tightly, the darkness swallowing it whole. "Did you open it?" he asked, urgency swelling in his throat. "Not yet. We need to figure out our next move. Eric will want this back," she said, gripping it tightly. "Then let us not keep him waiting," Jack breathed, shifting the weight of desperation into a sense of hope. The next chapter was ready to unfold, a daring leap into the unknown where risks loomed large. But the possibility of finding Emily, his love, his light, burned even brighter. They walked side by side, ready to face whatever came next. Together, armed with newfound courage, they clutched at that small spark of hope, ready to ignite their own destiny. The shadows might be foreboding, but they were no longer alone. Jack's heart raced. Let us go find the truth, whatever it takes. And as they moved into the night, they knew they were stepping into a world that could tear them apart or reunite them. But they were determined. This time, nothing could hold them back. Now is the time for you to step into action. You need to subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Go click below now.